Happy New Year and welcome back to Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club, where we tell you about the games we're playing in our 9 to 5 and maybe give recommendations on how we're doing. On today's episode, we are going to talk about the new games that we got for Christmas, basically what we've been playing, our gaming goals for 2025, and as well, the goals for the podcast in 2025. So welcome to the very first episode of Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club of 2025. Cue the intro. Just pulling back the curtain a bit, I forgot to cue up the intro through my intro. So while I was introing, I was priming that intro.
While you were ready. You were on top of it. It worked perfectly, I thought.
Yeah, I'm like an octopus. I have multiple hands. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to Grow Up Level Up Gamers Club for 2025. The year, man, it's been 25 years since the turn of the century. That's crazy. But welcome to the show. I am your host, Samson, and joining me today is the always illustrious, I think I used that before, SirDrJM, aka Jordan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I have a fun fact for you. You said you're like an octopus, you have multiple hands. A lot of people do have multiple hands, in fact. Not just octopuses, but anyways.
True, and octopuses technically don't have hands either.
Yeah, well, yes, but you know, most people have multiple hands, I'll say. But anyways,
to be confirmed. But yes, I believe.
Yeah. Pixar didn't happen, right?
Welcome back to Grow Up Level Up. Like I said, we are a podcast where we like to share what we've been playing in our 5 to 9s after our 9 to 5, and the goal of this podcast is to give you those reviews, previews, impressions, opinions. What's another word? A lot of opinions, actually. A lot of hot takes, if you ever go back to our first episode, on what games we've been playing and what games you should fit into your 9 to 5. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Usually we have more game reviews or game updates. But since we're coming back from the holidays, we did take a week off. Since we're coming back, I figure this would be a nice time to catch up on what we've been playing, as well as talk a little bit about our goals for ourselves and the podcast going into 2025. So this is kind of like a fresh start, if you will.
That's right. It is January 2nd, maybe the 3rd, maybe the 4th, depending on when you're listening to this. But it is a fresh new year, and we're ready to be new.
Are you feeling refreshed, Jordan? How was your break?
I'm feeling very unrefreshed. I don't know. I've been staying up too late, playing too many games, but also not enough games at the same time. You know how that goes. I could use more sleep.
It's definitely like a weird break this year, I feel, because both Christmas and New Year's landed in the middle of the week. So it didn't really feel like I had a break. I feel like I had multiple Saturdays and Sundays.
It was like a day off here, but then you go back to work for a day, but you don't really do anything. Then you get a couple days off, then you go back to work for a couple days. It was an odd one.
Yeah, and half of your team is gone because they took the time off. So it's like, well, am I expected to do too much? And you're like, well, I can't do this certain thing because I need this person here or whatnot. So that's kind of the vibe we bring to the podcast. It's how do we balance our game time between our 9 to 5s, our jobs, as you will. But backing up a little bit, back into those funny Saturdays that we got off in the past couple weeks, I'd like to start off by talking about what games we got for ourselves or that somebody got for us for Christmas. Jordan, would you like to start or shall I start?
You let her rip, as they say in the good old Beyblade days.
Well, you be careful with that because I did have a lot of beef for dinner, so
don't let that rip.
It's for Christmas. So common theme of the show, I really like card games. This is like a relatively recent thing. I'm real deep in the Pokemon real life and the Pokemon Pocket on the phone, but so I don't really want to talk too much about the card games I've played. I'm still in that Pokemon Pocket grind, and it's got its grips on me day to day. Physical card games harder to do, especially in the winter when you don't really feel like going out after 4 p.m. It's already dark. So the game I would like to highlight is, and I think I touched on this last year, is Super Mario Party Jamboree, which came out, I think, in November-ish. And then for the holidays, I got that Nintendo Switch voucher where you get like 2 games for a little cheaper.
Yeah.
I used one of those vouchers on Super Mario Party Jamboree. And I would have to say that I think this is probably the best Mario Party game out there ever. Beating, of course, all the old ones. The old games are old. The 2 that came out on Switch are good, but this is the one that is like it's good, and it's basically Mario Party, lots of different boards, lots of different characters, and I think I was trying to nail down what made this one good. And if you don't know what Mario Party is, yeah, it's a board game version with Mario characters. You play mini games between your turns, and you are competing to get as many stars as possible before the turn's over. So I think what makes this Mario Party good is that it is actually like fast. I find that in older Mario Parties, it's like, oh, my turn's over, and now you're just waiting up to like 10 minutes until your turn. But in this one, I think everybody's turn moves a little faster. I think the boards are a little smaller. At least the ones I've played so far are a little smaller. So that makes people do less of like scanning around, figuring out what to do. The animations are great. The mini games are all like super fast and straightforward as well. So I really think that by this 3rd iteration on the Switch, they figured it out. And Mario Party Jamboree, like we played about 4 or 5 rounds of it, and those are like hour plus rounds. I think at one point somebody mentioned let's do a 3-hour one.
How many turns are you doing on average, or most of the time?
10 to 15 to 15. Yeah. Which does take us, I think longest one was just under 2 hours. But it didn't feel like 2 hours because, well, we had a couple Christmas parties. A couple of them were big. But, and maybe this is another plus I'm realizing now, but it was so easy to just be like, oh, I'm going to take a break. You play my guy, I'm this guy. It was just so easy to pass off that controller, and people already knew what to do. Plus, they introduced a lot of like balancing mechanics with the partners, and I'm getting in nitty gritty. But I would say like for this Mario Party, this one is the best one. If you were going to pick one of the Mario Parties on the Switch, pick Jamboree. It is definitely the most content rich, the most engaging, like it runs well. The characters are super fun. We unlocked this little ninja chibi guy called Ninji, and he's got like 2 big red buttons, and it's just funny to look at. He's just a funny guy to look at. That's all I'll say.
He is a funny guy. Yeah.
Have you played Jamboree yet, Jordan?
I think have played Jamboree. So 2 things. Number 1, I noticed that big circle behind you is a clock. There's a hand spinning as you speak. But number 2, I think on our last episode of 2024, we talked about sort of holiday gaming traditions, and I mentioned that every New Year's Eve, my wife and I used to open a game we could play together, and so this year we decided to do that with our daughter as well, and the game that we got was Mario Party Jamboree. So we've also been playing it. I will say, I definitely echo what you're saying. We are coming hot off of Super Mario Party, so not All-Stars. I know All-Stars was the second one on Switch. We did not get that one. We only got the first one on Switch, which was called Super Mario Party. And I remember when it released, I think that was before I had a kid. And it was me and my wife and some friends. And we were not disappointed with it, but we didn't feel like it was the best. I guess, we were a little disappointed with it. But we didn't feel like it was the worst.
Knocking your socks off.
But it wasn't anything special. So we never really came back to it. But in the past few months, I've actually been playing it with my daughter. And I kind of was finding that, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, right? We were having a lot of fun with it. And I think, again, I talk a lot about gaming through a child's lens. And I think a big part of it was because I was seeing, how much fun my daughter was having with it and everything. And for context, if you aren't familiar with the show, she's 6 in August. So she was probably 5 when we started playing. So it's just learning controls and getting a grasp on how to do all these different mini games. And like, something that she had to learn through Mario Party was a ground pound, right? A relatively simple mechanic for us seasoned gamers, you press the jump button, and then you press jump at the top of your jump again, and you will slam into the ground. Well, to her, she's thinking, jump, jump. And it's like your character is barely off the ground. So a lot of the time, they don't have that full, that
hand-eye
full
coordination.
Jump. Yeah,
almost.
exactly. Yeah. So anyways, I have some good recent experience with Super Mario Party. And then also we've been playing now Jamboree. And I have this really good comparison of the two. And one of the first things I noticed, like you said, was just how much quicker Jamboree is. Even the simple act of rolling the die and then your character moving around the actual board, all of it just moves at like, it's like someone hit the 1.5 speed button on YouTube, and your characters just move that much faster, so you can cover that much more space, and you get that many more turns in and everything. It is interesting because I think they kind of either they extended out how long the mini games last or something like that, because I noticed when you did 60 turns in Super Mario Party, they tell you it's probably going to take an hour. And when you do 10 turns, they say it's going to take 60 minutes. And in Jamboree, when you do 10 turns on some of the maps, they tell you it's going to take an hour and a half, which is interesting.
Oh,
and I think that could be map size based. Like if you're doing a bigger map, then it takes a little longer. But anyways, I totally echo a lot of what you're saying. They did a lot of, they made a lot of good improvements in this one. There's a lot of quality of life stuff. Like I say, just the fact that it moves faster, but also like, a lot more interactivity when it's not your turn. You can do these little taunts and things, which I think are a blast. And I love annoying the crap out of my wife with, and she hates it.
Just keep mashing the what?
Yeah, the what, or the grr, or the betrayal. When someone steals a star, I have a lot of fun with those. And of course, I'm getting my daughter to egg her on too. So, yeah, I'm also actually, that was another one on my list was Mario Party Jamboree, having a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to having more fun with it. And also something that I find really cool. If we rewind the clock to Astrobot and to when Astrobot came out, I talked a lot about how it had some of that Nintendo magic of being on the home screen or the map or whatever, and you'll see a comet fly by. And if you go crash into that comet, it explodes and turns into something like a level you can go into. Well, Mario Party Jamboree actually has some of those kind of little hidden tidbits in it. Of course, you talked about getting Ninja. There's another character. I don't know if I need to be conscious of spoilers, but I won't say who they are. But
for the audience, yeah, I know I kind of spoiled one. Isn't that big of a spoiler?
I'm kind of like, do Mario Party games count as even having spoilers? To me, I don't care.
Sure.
There's at least one other character you can unlock, and it's through that kind of looking around the map and exploring outside of the traditional game, right? You're just in the menus or you're in the map or whatever, and you kind of spot these things that give you a little bonus. So, yeah, I know when I talked about Astrobot, I talked about it having that kind of what I would call Nintendoisms to their game or to the game. And sure enough, Jamboree has that in droves in this game. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Like I say, I have that really direct comparison of 2 iterations ago. I never did get Mario Party All-Stars, I believe was the last one, which I think was sort of more of a, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? They like took kind of the best. Yeah. They took the best mini games from, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And so I was interested in it because I have been playing Mario Party, with friends since the N64. And for me, the glory days were actually GameCube Mario Party. I want to say 4 and 5 were sort of the big ones that were like the holy grails to me. But I'm happy to say that this one seems to be living up to it. So
yeah, no, I don't know if it's a time and place thing, but I mean, if 2 people from 2 separate walks of life are like, this is the one.
Yeah,
I feel like there's something good there. Like yeah, because I also grew up playing Mario Party, but it was like that was fun, but man, that took an hour. Whereas this one is like, I can't wait till the next party. We can whip out Mario Party again and then like unlock stuff. I don't know what other games there are. It's always a weird game to play alone.
Oh, totally.
to unlock it, I think that was one of the like a Wii U one or this one where it's like, all right, now to unlock the other boards, you got to play more. But I'm not gonna play Mario Party alone.
I know Super Mario Party, the one that we were playing before Jamboree, does have an element of that where it's like,
maybe it was that one.
There's a bunch of different game modes, and you have to play each map within each game mode once to basically check a box to unlock a larger stage after doing like 4 of them. And it does get kind of tedious. And like you say, totally. I'm not going to do that alone. Like, what am I going to put the computers on hard and feel bad about myself for losing? Like,
or like it's a weird game to grind in. Whereas,
they're party games. It's in the name, right?
True. Did you play any other games during the break, Jordan?
I did.
Ooh.
I mean, of course, I've got the usual that I could list off, the Overwatch 2s. Yes, I did play a little bit of Overwatch. The Marvel Rivals, of course, which still got its hooks in me, waning a little bit, but, it's there. But sort of the big one that I brought to the table or that I wanted to talk about is a game with a very specific purpose for me. So I actually didn't get any games just, through the Christmas holidays or anything like that. But what I did get was a PlayStation Portal.
Woohoo!
And yeah, that's
finally.
Right. Woohoo!
Finally. Is it the 30th anniversary one or just a regular?
No, it's just a regular one. I'm
asking for too much.
I wish I had thought of that, but it was gifted to me, so I can't complain. I was pretty shocked and thrilled to see it because, as you know, I live in Edmonton. I actually travel to Calgary quite a bit, and this will mean that I can actually, to an extent, take my gaming on the go because my PlayStation is, of course, my primary gaming device. So anyways, I was shocked and awed to see this PlayStation Portal, but very excited to test it out. So I didn't get a chance to test it out till we got back because, of course, you got to link it to your PlayStation 5 and everything. But once I had it all set up and everything, I was kind of feeling it out to see, I obviously you're doing remote play. I know that that's not great for online games because you're, relying on the internet, but then also relying on the internet to stream to the device. So your latency is going to be high. Your ping is going to be high. Although I have really good internet at home, it's still wireless, right? You never want to do online gaming wireless. So I kind of dove into the catalog of games that I could get through, PlayStation Plus and these kind of things. Found a couple that I tried out that aren't, Twitch-based shooters and things like that. But the one that I kind of settled on, and although I haven't bit the bullet and bought the full game yet, it does have a meaty demo that I'm still working my way through. And that, of course, is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Ooh.
That's right. Game of the year for many outlets.
True.
And the big thing was I had talked on the show as well about wanting to try it. Of course, I was a big fan of Persona 4 Golden on the Vita, and I have Persona 5, but I was never able to get into it. And I think what I had talked about on the show was a big part of that is because on the Vita, I was able to play it on the go. I could wake up on a Saturday morning, stay in bed, pull it out while everyone's still sleeping and just kind of get a little session in, or play it on the bus back home from work or whatever. So diving into Metaphor on the PlayStation Portal, oh man, it feels right at home. It is just like those good old days on the Vita. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to play it on the bus unless I'm using a cell connection, which would probably suck, but maybe not. Maybe I'll try it out.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think you gotta do some testing.
Do some investigative research. But anyways, I mean, I work from home now, so I am mostly home. But the nice thing is now, my wife throws on Bob's Burgers while she does her cross stitch or what have you. And I can pull out the portal and I can play through Metaphor. So I'm working my way through the demo right now. Of course, the nice thing is a lot of games are on sale because it's the holiday season. Most of those sales are coming to an end in, the next week or so. But I think I saw I can get Metaphor at whatever % off. Plus, someone on this show, that's not me, was kind enough to gift me some dollars on my PlayStation account. So thank you very much for that, because it might just go towards research for the show. So,
hey, it was your salary. No,
that's right. For 2025, pay up front. But
okay, that's awesome. Well, what do you? I've downloaded the demo as well on Steam on PC. But what is your highlight so far with the demo? What do you think is the hook bringing you in?
I mean, the big thing about Metaphor that I think honestly it does a lot better than the Persona games from what I've seen. Again, I've played and beat Persona 4 Golden. I played through a number of hours of Persona 5. I don't remember how much, but it wasn't nearly to completion or anything like that. But it was enough to see sort of what they're building and everything. And the thing that I think that series has struggled with is the onboarding. It has a ton of systems and a ton going on that it really tries to throw at you. And if I'm being honest, it took me multiple tries to get through sort of just the intro tutorials and things in Persona 4 Golden before I really got in and really fell in love with these characters and everything. Metaphor kind of flips that, and I think they're doing a much better job of, I don't want to say easing you in, but building the systems in a way that gets you engaged, that lets you into the action. If I'm not mistaken, I think Persona 4 has like straight up 2 hours of cutscenes and reading dialogue before you actually get to control the character.
Dang.
Or it's like, it lets you like, you know, walk on a fixed camera angle, walk down a hallway, and then it jumps into another cutscene. For the first, like, I promise you, it is not less than 2 hours. It's
one of those
ridiculous
JRPGs that it's like, it gets good at 10 hours in, and you're like, all right.
But like 30. Honestly, I think that it's like, by the time you've reached 30 hours, you're finally into all the systems, you finally know everything about the game, and you can really hit the ground running. Now, you've done combat and stuff before that, but so anyways, point is, Metaphor's onboarding has been a lot better. I've already done fights, you know, I've already done combat. I also think they did a really good job of stripping the systems that were from the Metaphor games, from the Persona games, and kind of cutting out the bullcrap. So really making it so you can, trying to think of an easy example. An easy example would be, it's turn-based combat. So you're walking around, you come across an enemy, you jump into a fight with them. Even if that enemy is 10 levels below you and you're going to one-hit them, in the Persona games, it still forces you into that, okay, you're in with the enemy, now it changes the perspective, you're on the battlefield, you got your party, you got the enemy party, and you have to say, okay, I want to press X to hit them, and then X to hit them. And look at that, we beat them in one hit. No big deal. So Persona forces you into that every time. Metaphor has boiled it down where you actually have a quick attack. So you can just go ahead and one tap that guy, and it's not going to bother taking you into the full turn-based battle. If they're super weak, you're just going to hit them, they're going to die, you get the experience and, a couple dollars or whatever the currency is for it. Metaphor monies, yeah. So they really boiled it down, and I think improved on a lot of the systems that just caused those other games to drag a little bit. So I'm really enjoying that. But I mean, the big thing that's kind of drawing me in right now, because again, I am so early on, has got to be the world that they're building here. Persona takes place in sort of, alternative modern day kind of thing, modern day Japan, realistically. So it is, and everyone, essentially, you're playing high schoolers going to school and stuff like that. And you make friends and such. Metaphor is a fantasy world. Right now, I'm going to try and, I don't think it's a spoiler to say because it's part of the demo, but I'm going to try and assassinate the king or something like that. Yeah, that's right. But it's very, I don't want to say Game of Thrones because it's not that serious. It's obviously, anime style, a little more cartoony. I'm going to pause
you right there.
Oh, yeah.
My cat's about to barf.
Oh, no. Barfing cats. Oh, no. Get it off the carpet. Did it do it? Did it do it?
No, I think she's good. She was just
good.
doing the. Oh no, she did a little bit. I'll clean it up after the show.
You know what? I'll just say, just be glad you don't have dogs, because if you did, you wouldn't be able to clean it up after the show because the dogs would be trying to eat it now. So that's what happens with me. So sometimes you take the cup and put it over the barf and then finish what you're doing before you get to clean it up. So
sometimes you're just preoccupied with more important things than dog or cat barf.
I have definitely jumped off work calls being like, oh, I'll be right back. Dog's throwing up or cat's throwing up. Gotta do something about that. So
going back to Metaphor then.
Anyways. Yes.
It's funny you mentioned that hitting mechanic where if you're like powerful enough, you just clear a battle. Because I'm still playing through Paper Mario 1,000 Year Door. I know it's been like half a year. And
it has that problem, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It has it has the hitting thing. I would say it's a little less clear because you could do the thing where you hit the enemy and you get like a little bonus
or whatever.
Yeah, on them as you go into the turn-based thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then at a certain point in the game, like the later half, I was surprised when I went to go jump on one of the lower level enemies, and they just kind of went like all the way down.
Yeah.
And then I think it was later in the settings. It was like usually these games, Nintendo games, they like to hide a setting as like an item that you have to equip. But for this specific mechanic, it was like a setting that you can turn on or off. Yeah, which is like very weird. But when you mentioned that, it just reminded me of that. Yeah,
I wonder if that's an improvement they made for the remake, or if that was, or in the original, you had to do the whole, bounce on them kind of thing. But
yeah.
Anyways,
I'm not sure actually. Yeah. It's been so long since I played that game.
Me too.
And it's been so long since I am still playing that game. So I'll finish it. I'll finish it soon.
That's okay. And you know what? That's the thing that I had talked about with Metaphor about. Originally, I was hesitant to get into it because without that sort of on-the-go ability to pick it up and play whenever I want, I knew I would never beat a 100+ hour game, right? And I was watching a streamer the other day and someone in their chat said they should play it. And then that person in chat said they spent 160 hours. And for me, I'm just like, if I can't just pick it up while I'm sitting on the couch and get through some of it, I'm never going to beat that. And I actually, we may talk about this later, but I typically don't not beat a game unless it's a roguelite where the point is, repetition and run after run after run after run, things like that. If a game has a story element to it, I'm generally speaking beating it before I move on to another game. So anyways, yeah.
For the Metaphor games, do you think you need to have played some Persona games before you jump into this to really appreciate it, or you feel like it stands on its own?
Absolutely not.
Cool.
Everything I've heard is that, so I mean, if you look at the studio that created it, it's developed by Studio Zero, which of course publisher is Sega or JP Atlas. And from what I understand, the Persona team is traditionally called the P team or P studio. And I think they took a lot of people from the P team and moved them to Studio Zero to build Metaphor. So it very much was kind of a reinvention of themselves. Obviously, they're not going to go away from Persona because I think Persona 5 was the biggest Persona they've released yet, and has a ton of fans and everything. But I think this was kind of a chance for the team to explore and make some dramatic changes to the setting, but also the mechanics and how the game works and everything like that, and really kind of stretch their legs without getting too far from what, built the team up, really. So it's got a lot of the DNA of Persona, I would say, but I also don't think you need any of the knowledge of Persona. And I haven't even heard anything like, I think I've actually watched a spoiler cast or two about Metaphor, but did I absorb any of that? No, because I didn't know any of the characters or anything like that.
Okay.
But I don't think I've heard anything about like Easter eggs or anything. I would love if there was an Easter egg, a callback to Persona 4 Golden, that's the one I know best, or Persona 5. But I don't think I've heard anything like that.
Okay. So really much is not a redo, an original idea. Yeah.
It is. Cool. And I think, with how many accolades they got, obviously, I think both IGN and GameSpot gave Metaphor their Game of the Year for last year to Metaphor. With the accolades it's getting, I mean, there's a good chance there's going to be a sequel, right? And now Atlas is going to, or whatever it is, P Studio, Studio Zero. Now they're going to have two franchises on the go with Persona and Metaphor. Of course,
awesome,
they also make Shin Megami Tensei and stuff like that.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah.
Cool. Metaphor ReFantazio coming 2030 probably by the way the games come out now.
You're not wrong.
That's awesome. Well, those are the games that we've been playing through our break. If you are listening or watching on YouTube, leave a comment, or I think you can comment on Spotify about the games that you are playing as well. We would love to know. What games did you finish before the end of the year? What games are you taking into 2025? Maybe what games you're looking forward to playing in 2025. We'll do a whole other episode on that. But now I want to talk a little bit about our gaming goals for the year. So beginning of the year, obviously, like everybody likes to, it's a fresh start, feels like a fresh start. Everybody likes to set something goals for themselves. Usually it's something like eat healthier or go to the gym. But obviously
That's for
we
nerds.
Yeah, that's for people who probably also play video games. But but for here on our show today, we picked two goals, or I picked two goals that revolve around my gaming habits. Not necessarily like what games I want to beat, but kind of at least the ones I chose. I don't know what, Jordan, you chose yet. But the goals that I kind of want to do this year. And I know I kind of we kind of ragged on the healthy nerd thing there, but one of my goals is to revolve around.
Oops, my bad.
It's all good. Do you mind if I start, Jordan?
I would love it if you started.
So my first goal is a pretty straightforward one. It is, I want to, and I really admire you for this talent because it comes naturally to you. But I want to start and roll credits on one game this year, just one. If you know me, or maybe if you don't know me, I struggle with finishing games, like seeing the credits. I think the last one was Astrobot, and that was just because, and that's why it's game of the year, you know?
Fair enough.
Like, once I start a game, I'll have lots of fun, and then maybe a week or two pass, and I get distracted by something, and I never come back to it because I forget. Like I said, I've been playing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door for about coming up to a year. I would say I'm on the last world now, so I'm almost there. But my goal this year, and I haven't necessarily picked a game yet, but it's to start a game and then go all the way till the ending and roll the credits. That's my goal. And I know it's game dependent because we were talking about roguelikes earlier. Like those games are long and sometimes they don't end, and that's part of the game. But I don't know, like if there's a story game out there coming out, if there's a game in my backlog, maybe I'll open my Steam real quick and take a look.
Well, what I was going to suggest or ask at least was, does Paper Mario count? Would you commit here and now to finishing Paper Mario in 2025? That could maybe call that point 1A of your first goal there.
Yeah, I don't know if it fully counts because I did start that
I know
like last year,
but it is a many hour RPG, and RPGs typically long. You know, if I'm like 95% sure I'm going to purchase Metaphor and continue on with it. If I do, I will be very curious to find out how many months into the year it takes me before I can talk about the ending, because it's been a long time since I played a game that took that many hours. I mean, now that I think about it, like,
how long was Elden Ring for you?
I was about to say, I think I spent like 80 hours in Elden Ring. And I think it came out in February, and I think it was like around April that I beat the core game. So I'd call it like 3 months. And if this game is twice as long as that, you know, I could still be playing in June or July. So that's a long time. But
okay.
Anyways,
still within the year. Yeah, I'm looking at my Steam list now, and it's mostly multiplayer games, mostly indie games, but the one that sticks out to me is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.
Oh boy.
I think it was like $3 or $4 on Steam this past holiday. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll do it for $3.
It's the PlayStation Plus free game of the month for this coming month. So I'm going to download it as well. Will I play it? I don't know, but I'll have it.
I mean, I could say the same thing. Will I play it?
True.
I don't know, but but it's there. Is there crossplay for it? That might be a fun.
I don't know.
Fun project.
Yeah, actually, that could make it at least enjoyable.
As we research that, I feel like that would be, because it's got a story. It's cool. Yeah. I'm sure it's not terrible now with all the updates and stuff, and the game's like done, so you're not chasing like a seasonal update or whatever.
I think they announced they're just giving away everything in the game so that you can continue to play it.
That's good. Yeah, that'd be nice. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. I'm sure the story's somewhat decent. At least it'll look pretty. True. As well.
Does look pretty.
So maybe I'll play Suicide Squad, which is kind of funny because I remember a year ago I was on Oren's podcast talking about what game I think I'd end up playing. And this was before Suicide Squad came out. So I'm like, I have a feeling I'm going to play a lot of Suicide Squad this year. And then the reviews came out and all that. So I haven't touched it. I still haven't touched it, but I did pick it up this past holiday because it was $3 Canadian, which is crazy for a game that came out in the same year.
No kidding. When did it release? Recently.
Definitely like January, February last year.
Was it?
Yeah. Some recent. But that's my goal. My goal is to start a game without ever having played it and then finish it by the end of the year. I don't know. I'm not gonna hold myself. Like, I'm not gonna say like you gotta do it in the first half of the year. I'm not gonna put a number on it.
Fair.
But that's my first goal. Am I crazy? You tell me.
You have until December 31st.
That's
at
true.
11:59 p.m.
That's true, and maybe we'll follow up on the pod about how that went.
That's right.
How do we do in our gaming goals? Awesome. Jordan, what's your first gaming goal of the year?
Well, first of all, I love both your goals. Spoiler alert: I was having a hard time coming up with goals, so I asked Samson what he had in mind, like what exactly he was thinking, and he was like, "Well, I'll just tell you." So I know both of his. And his kind of got my creative juices flowing so that I didn't do the like, I want to beat 10 games.
Play Elden Ring with my eyes
like
closed.
That. Yeah. Well, now that would be cool. If I was that skilled at Elden Ring, I would set those goals, but I'm not. I would also be a famous streamer if that were the case. Anyways, now as I say that, I look at my first goal and I'm like, well, maybe it is kind of like that.
You are hyping it up. Yeah.
Point is, my first gaming goal is kind of broad, but I'll talk a little more about it. So what I kind of want to do in 2025 is expand my gaming horizons. So for my first goal, I want to buy and beat at least one, and I say at least one because could easily end up being more, cool indie game. Because traditionally, I have not been much of an indie gamer. I try a fair number of them, but usually when I try them, it's like I'll give them an hour or something. And they don't often grab me in the first little bit, so I don't usually keep going with them. Now, last year, I think I did kind of take steps towards that. It actually, although not a cool indie game, but a cool game that I usually wouldn't have got into, Pokemon trading card game, Pocket. Definitely never saw myself getting
small indie
hooked
company,
into that.
Pokemon and Nintendo.
Exactly. But on the cool indie side, another game that I did get into is Balatro. And that is sort of, almost the definition of a cool indie game, right? Obviously, Balatro really did kind of break through to, I think, a more mainstream audience. Although it is a very indie game, I believe it was developed by one guy or something like that. It kind of exploded onto the scene, and now it's available on everything. And for me, that was a big part of how I actually did end up getting into it, is I bought it on my iPhone because to me, it's just the kind of game I don't want to sit there and stare at the TV or my computer screen and play it. I want to play it while I'm watching TV or something like that. I want to play it, on the go kind of thing. I actually, not when I was back for the holidays, but when I was back visiting my parents in Calgary before the holidays, I actually played Balatro with my mom. I was teaching her how to play and showing her on my phone and everything like that. So
how did that go, if I may ask?
Not bad. She knows how to play poker, so she knew the hands and everything. It's not like she went out and bought it on her iPad or anything like that. It's kind of what I was hoping for. Yeah. I was like, let's get her hooked. But she enjoyed it and we played for a little bit. So anyways, I know there's a lot of cool indies out there. We talk about a lot of them on the show. Obviously, Samson, with you being more in the PC world, you do buy a lot of indie games on Steam and things like that. And you've talked about a bunch of them on the show too. So I'd like to, dip my toes, get into that realm a little bit more. There are also, I think, a few coming out this year that I have my eye on already. So, maybe a bit of an easy goal for me to set. But I traditionally just go after the big releases, Sony first party and, even the Ubisoft, the Activision. Well, I guess that doesn't exist anymore. But the big titles that everyone kind of knows about are usually more what I go after. But I want to expand my horizons. So there you have it.
Cool. Well, indie is a very broad term. Like,
sure.
What kind of, two questions. Yeah, what genre of indie kind of appeals to you the most? And also, is it a new indie game coming out next year, or are you going to go back to an old one?
I see.
Older one?
Well, I know, one that I still kind of toy with going back to everything every now and then is, I often get the name of this wrong. Is it Thank Goodness You're Here? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. So I know you talked about
Good
that
one.
on the show. I know a lot of people talk about that one. And it really did seem kind of up my alley. So that's one that I've thought about. Obviously, I'm not sure if it's coming out this year, but I know at the Game Awards, they showed off a couple indie games, which were actually kind of surprising to see. And I'm blanking on the names of them right now. Joseph Ferris's game isn't. He's EA published, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which is like kind of weird because he's like,
yeah, he's definitely it's his own team, but yeah,
they basically just hand him the money and say go because he makes good games. But anyways, so there's that. But I feel like there's others that I just can't think of right now. But indie games are always kind of a surprise too in a lot of ways, right? They come out of nowhere, they're a big thing for a little bit of time, and then that's that.
True.
So.
And yeah, PC always gets them first, so it's easier for me to hop in there. But and PlayStation comes like later, and Xbox as well. Thank goodness you're here is really short if you're interested in that.
I know.
So you could
probably a good one for me to play on the Portal too, right? So
yeah, true. Actually, you don't need to be fast or anything. It's a cartoon.
I think there was a game announced from the Untitled Goose Game team as well, and I'm a big fan of Untitled Goose Game. I can't remember what it was right now, but I've got my eye on that as well because I'm just such a big fan of Untitled Goose Game.
I will pull it up for you. Is it Big Walk? Is it that one?
That sounds like it could be it. Let's see. House.
Yeah. No, I think you're talking about a different one. Was it Big Walk?
Oh, maybe not. Whoa, I don't know if I've ever seen this. I just looked it up too.
Can we talk about Big Walk?
We could talk about Big Walk.
So I was there when they revealed this. And Big Walk is like a multiplayer hiking simulator, except the landscapes are like super realistic. If you're watching the YouTube
and the characters
one,
are not.
come see the trailer if you're on YouTube now. Yeah, so the landscapes are like super realistic. The characters are not, and I think it's a game about hiking. It's just like one of those social games. But I'm very excited for this because maybe there's like a mystery to the world. Maybe it's just about exploring, which is also cool as well. But yeah, this one has my intrigue. So I don't think you were talking about Big Walk, but I hope this game comes out soon.
I don't think I was talking about this one either. Maybe it's the publisher that published Untitled Goose Game is publishing another game by a different studio or something like that. I know I remember hearing something about that. But anyways, this game looks just wild because it's so realistic, but so not. It's such a strange look to it.
Yeah, I really hope it comes out soon.
They're kind of like geometric ant people.
I was thinking like, that duck toy that just kind of bobs his head down and back up. That's what it kind of reminds me of. But yeah, this game looks very funky. Don't know what it's about really, but hopefully it's good. It's maybe Death Stranding.
It's giving like survival game vibes, but also without like the actual like threat of death. So I don't know where the survival comes. Basically just living, I guess. But anyways.
True.
Big one.
That's a big one. If we find that game later by the end of the episode, we'll find out. And it did say coming 2025. So soon. Yeah. Oh, let's go.
That's now. That's now.
Yeah, that
Red
is
alert.
now. Where is it? Awesome. My next goal for myself is, and we were joking about health earlier, but this has been on my mind for a while. So I feel like this is the year. Okay. I got nothing else, got nothing else going for me. No other major life events for now. But this is my second goal for this year, gaming goal, is to not to snack or drink. That is like drink alcohol or soda or pops. Calories, while playing video games. So it's like Dorito Mountain Dew is the gamer snack. You're supposed to have that while playing Halo, but this is actually kind of a bad habit I picked up during the pandemic when everyone was locked down from home. So meal times and snack times kind of got all blurred. No one was going out for like drinks and stuff. So like in the evenings after work, like everyone's hanging out on Discord, playing games, like, and it's Friday. So it's like, well, if we weren't here, we'd be at a bar. So we might as well like have a drink.
Crack one.
Yeah. So it's a pretty, and like over the years, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll shake it off when the pandemic ends, and I just haven't. It's become a new habit. So definitely gonna try to not snack or drink while gaming.
Fair enough.
Because there are times where it's like you're gaming for 2-3 hours and you're snacking the whole time. That is not good. Yeah. So a little more health focused one for sure.
Fair enough.
For sure.
Not a bad goal to have. I think many people could benefit from that. I mean, it saves your controllers or your keyboard, your mouse and keyboard.
Also true. Yeah.
A lot of gunk and grime. One pro tip that I might offer, if that's okay,
yes,
is at one point in my life, I felt like I was eating too many chips and things like that while playing games. And obviously that's difficult because you're always reaching and grabbing and wiping and such. Lifesavers. Just get a pack of
candy?
Yeah, like the candy. Get a pack of Lifesavers from the corner store or whatever, the convenience store, and just pop a Lifesaver while you're playing games and just kind of, you suck on it and it's flavorful and it occupies your mouth and your taste buds. And oftentimes by the time it's gone, you don't really remember that you're looking for a snack. So,
okay.
Yeah, that way
I'll try that.
Happened for me anyways, or worked for me, but I do like it.
No, and it's funny because I'm listening to a book right now called Atomic Habits by, let me grab the name of the author here.
George Orwell.
That'd be crazy. Unfortunately, not a sci-fi book. Atomic Habits. It's a very famous self-help book. James Clear. And it's basically a book about like building good habits, replacing bad ones. And then my takeaway so far, I'm still listening through the book, but my takeaway so far is like, if you want to get rid of a bad habit, one thing is first you have to like change what the trigger is, but the other part is to replace it with something more desirable, something that you want, right? It's easy to say like just don't drink beer while gaming. But now you're like craving something to drink. So I've been trying to drink tea more. Like every time I'm like, I'm gonna watch Squid Game 2 later. I'm gonna make a tea first, and then I'll watch. So just to replace the behavior instead of not doing anything at all. Yeah.
Pardon me. No, never mind. I'm not. Don't worry about it.
Do you need a tea as well?
You know what? I am a tea drinker. I do drink a lot of tea, and I often have a cup of tea while gaming. So,
okay, I should do that. I'm trying to get into peppermint teas, like peppermint teas.
Fair enough.
Awesome. What's your next gaming goal for the year?
My next gaming goal is kind of loose. I don't know what parameters to put around it really. But I want to play more cool games with my kid. I think that was, again, as I've talked many times on this show, my gaming habits in recent years have largely involved gaming with my daughter. And, I was just having this conversation with one of my good friends who I saw over the winter holidays there. Growing up, we've been playing games since we were young. And we both remember, like, so desperately just wishing our parents would play games with us, right?
Totally.
It's this thing where it's something that you love, that you are really interested in and excited in. And when you're young, you just want to share it with anyone really, but in particular with your parents, right? Until you're probably, 10, 11, 12, your parents are usually kind of your best friends, right? So, I remember just wishing my dad would play Crash Bandicoot with me or get into the world of Jack and Daxter or blow stuff up in Ratchet and Clank and things like that. And this is even before multiplayer, right? I just wanted him to sit on the couch and watch me play, or I'll pass him the controller and I'll watch him play. And he never really did that. And, nothing against him. Obviously, it was a thing that I could do on my own and that I enjoyed. But I enjoy doing that with my kid. And again, reflecting on my own upbringing, I know that one day she'll look back and she'll go, man, what do I remember of dad when I was young? I remember sitting on the couch playing games with him. And for me, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Some parents, some kids will be like, I remember throwing the football or, kicking the football or
throwing a hockey
and the puck. And exactly. Right. But, my daughter will be like, I remember playing Mario Party on Christmas Eve with both my parents and my grandma kind of thing. So anyways, I want to play more cool games with my kiddo. I want her to, or I'd love to get her into, I don't know, more advanced games. Obviously, it's a slow process. She's got to build up those skills and everything. But, even playing something like Astrobot, I'm seeing a big improvement from when we first started playing games together and stuff like that. And obviously, as she, continues to learn and grow and, learn simple things like reading, even games like Animal Crossing and stuff like that will be good for her and helpful for her to develop those skills further. I never thought I would look back on like my gaming as a kid and be like, yeah, I always knew that said press the start button. Whereas now she's like, what do I press? And in a lot of cases, it doesn't actually say the word start anymore. It just shows a little icon of the button.
True. The plus
and I'm like,
there, yeah.
But, playing Mario Party, a lot of it is press the up button to roll your die.
The right side of this 4 space.
Exactly.
And then it's like, is that the X or the A here?
I'm describing buttons to her as the kitchen button because it is the button that is closest to our kitchen, or the button towards you, or the button towards the TV and things like that. Yeah. So anyways, it's building up a lot of that. But, I'm excited to see how she kind of learns these things and grows and develops. And just excited to game more with her. So I don't know what games that's going to be, but I'm sure there's lots of cool stuff. Ghost of Yote, she might enjoy chopping some fools up. I don't know. We'll see. But
I was going to say, when are we going to break out the crazy stuff?
GTA 6 is coming out. She could kill her first hoe.
She's also 6 years old.
Exactly. Right? Start them young.
No, that's awesome. I totally resonate with that. It's like, oh man, I wish my mom and dad would play, but I also grew up in a different time where games weren't a thing, and I think there's like a different lens. I know for like, we're going on a tangent, but I know like my parents specifically, they were older when they told us this, but it's like, we never really wanted to even buy video games because a lot of the games back then was gambling. And then people got addicted to gambling. So there wasn't that much of a difference then, but now they see it's like, it's like this whole mystery. Yeah, it's not just supposed to pull you in and not let you out kind of thing.
It's that whole idea, I think, nowadays that, you don't call people who watch movies moviers or even movie goers. Everyone watches movies. Everyone goes to the theater sometimes.
True.
Everyone gets excited when their favorite novel is adapted into a movie or what have you. And I think we're kind of getting there to a point where like, people don't really identify as gamers anymore. Everyone plays games. Everyone's got a cell phone that can play games, and even if they're playing Mahjong or Candy Crush and things like that, you're still playing games. It's just a thing that people do now. So anyways.
Yeah. Normalize it. Oh, that's awesome. I love that goal. And I love seeing like kids grow up with games and finding their fun in whatever it is, and like what resonates with kids and what's not. A lot of Roblox from what I heard.
Oof. Don't get me started on Roblox. I'm trying to stay away from that one, but
Awesome. As we close out this episode, I want to give a chance for Jordan and I to share a little bit about our goals for the podcast for 2025. We've been doing this show for, I always forget the episode count, but a couple months since the summer. So almost half a year. So like, what's our goal for this year? Our goal for the audience is like, we want to give you suggestions, talk about our experiences with games, what's kind of worth it in your 5 to 9 to play for folks like us who work a 9 to 5, who maybe don't get those like hours a day to play games and then review them. Like, so we're talking very much from our lived experiences about how games influence our lives or are part of our lives. So that's kind of the overall goal of the podcast, but we can be more specific with that. But I'm pulling back the curtain more. I never put it back when I told everyone that I was scrambling to find the intro button. So gaming goals for 2025, or sorry, podcast goals for 2025. Do you have one in mind, Jordan, or should I start with?
Yeah, I mean, you started this whole shindig. It was spawned from grow up, level up of old. So I think you should jump in there and start with yours.
Sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, now that you mentioned it, this podcast is kind of kind of a weekly thing I want to do for the Grow Up Level Up channel overall, and how this channel came to be is that I wanted to interview other folks who implement games into their lives and how that influences them. Like Jordan was one of our first guests. We chatted about how gaming and podcasting kind of influences his day-to-day life. I've chatted with Adamo from Overactive Media about his esports empire. Kind of branched out and talked to folks who like play sports, which are also games, about how that influences their lives, and like people who just do athletic stuff like Saffron. So I would just want to talk to people about how they implement fun into their lives, not necessarily just like games or video games. I would say for this podcast specifically, for Grow Up Level Up, I want to reach more people and invite them onto the show to talk about how they implement video games into their lives. I know like the original, we'll call it Grow Up Level Up Prime, is kind of...
I like that.
It's kind of like a little here, over there. We branched beyond video games, but for Gamers Club, I would love to see us bring on like a third guest onto the show. We kind of had a taste of it with Jerica. I guess that was more Grow Up Level Up Prime. Jerica from JK Games, who just did a cool new logo rebrand. Go check them out, JK Games. Yeah, I want to bring them on and talk about like, hey, what have you been playing this week? What do you recommend for
bring
folks
them more
like you
into the regular show formula?
Yeah. Because I know the audience just loves hearing us two yap once a week.
I'm sure they do.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. I want to bring in more folks as a third chair, as a guest, and share about what they've been playing in their 5 to 9s after their 9 to 5s. Yeah. What about you, Jordan?
Right on. That's so I hadn't heard your goal for the show before we recorded, so that was the first time hearing of it. And you know, I have to admit that my goal is oddly similar.
Okay.
What I had written it down here, and what I wrote down was make cool friends. You know, I've talked about it a little bit before, but for whatever reason, these are the things that I'm drawn to in characters, in media, in stories, and in life, is just the relationships that we build. I've got a Monkey D. Luffy's hat behind me. I've got a Heartless right there from Kingdom Hearts. There's some other Kingdom Hearts characters. Yeah, ignore the zombies. We're not friends with the zombie. They try to eat your brains. Anyways, and something we talked about with Jericho was, you know, just the idea that podcasting, gaming, everything like that is something we bond over. You and I talk because of the Kind of Funny community, because of a connection through the Overwatch competitive scene, and things like that. So games and gaming, you know, as a whole, sports included, physical board games, card games, video games, mobile games, whatever you want to do. It's all just something that brings us together. So I'd love to see us, make more cool friends. And that all starts with having them on the show. And like you say, you know, bring them into the fold in a greater sense of, you're just a part of the show. You know, it's not necessarily an interview. Like certainly we can do that, but you know, it's you're a third chair. Let's hear your opinions. Let's hear your thoughts. Let's get some diverse voices in here, so that it's not just, you know, the same two guys every week, like you say, yapping at you. So
we're just yapping. No, I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. We have our unified vision.
That's right.
For 2025.
Oddly
we got it.
Similar.
If you're listening and you'd like to be a part of the show, just message me on Instagram or Twitter or X or wherever. Just shoot me a message. I'm pretty open. Or you can message the channel at Grow Up Level Up.
True.
On everything. Yeah, I'm actually really happy you said that, because then we can kind of work behind our curtain. We'll pull the curtain back, and then we'll see who can bring onto the show. Maybe next week, maybe next month.
Yeah,
we have 52 weeks ahead. I think 51. I guess after this one.
Yep.
Awesome. So if you're still listening, let us know what goals you have for this year. What gaming goals you have, or like goals in general. Maybe you want to go to the gym once a week, but
yeah.
Start slow, right? If you make too high of an expectation for yourself, it might not work. So take it easy on yourself, and make some good goals. So that brings us to the end of the episode. If you'd like to collaborate with us, like I said, you can message us on all the socials at Grow Up Level Up, on Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, I guess, YouTube. Leave a comment, message me, whatever, we'll check it. If you want to find me specifically, I am Samson XP on all the socials, smsn.bluesky.social on Blue Sky, I guess. I actually need to change that to my personal website. So that's another goal I need to add. Change my Blue Sky handle. Jordan, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
You can find me on all socials at SirDrJM. That's SirDrJM. The big two being Instagram and Blue Sky these days.
Awesome. And as we close out this episode, thank you for watching. Make sure you play a game or two and make a new friend. Jordan, what are your wise words to give to our new friends this week?
My wise words this week are going to come from the June 2011 issue of EGM. That's Electronic Gaming Monthly. And it's going to be, of course, this is at least in part due to the very nature of the medium.